Hi everybody, welcome back to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, it's episode 3 in BX Basics, and let me tell you, we're going strong. I really appreciate all the encouragement, and a lot of people are telling me how much this is helping them. As a matter of fact, like Paul from Gelling Outdoors, he gave another tip when I was telling you to park your tractor with your hydraulics down. Also, try and get the front end of your bucket to lay flat on the floor. That sucker is an ankle biter if you're walking past it, and especially if you have a tooth bar on it. So, very good tip. And let me tell you, from here on out, if you're watching this for the first time, go and read the comments, because you're gonna get tips like that from other seasoned tractor owners. And if you are an expert tractor owner, go ahead, if I missed something, yeah, definitely write it in the comments, because we're here to help people. That's what this channel is all about. So, all right, on to this episode. What are we doing today? We're talking about pallet forks. Now, you can kind of see right here where I've got all of my front end implements laid out nicely and neatly so that they're easily accessible. Now, I know not everybody has this much space, but back when I had my other property, I built 8 by 16, I think it was, 16 by 8 shed, and I made shelves in the front of the shed. So if you've got multiple front end implements, your tractor will reach up and get things off of shelves. You can, especially with the SSQA, which we're about to go over, you can just put your implement up on the shelf and then stick your SSQA in it and pull it off the shelf. So, you know, it's just an idea, but you want it to be neat and organized so you can get to your implements and get them on the tractor easily. Let's hook up the pallet forks. So as we go here, I'm gonna give you little tips and tricks, but I'm only gonna do this once, okay? From here on out, we're just gonna switch them out. But I wanna show you, since we're doing our first front end implement, when I switch out my SSQA attachments, skid steer quick attach, that's these bars right here, okay? When I switch these out, I always step on the implement in the front, okay? Because I'm safe. Okay? It's just the easiest and best way to do it. I've done it from the side before, and as a matter of fact, I had one time that I thought I'd be smart, and I put one of my implements, might have been the pallet forks, I don't know, it was up on top of a pallet because I wanted to save room in my garage, and I disconnected the handles here, and this loader, the front of the loader, slipped out and came right down on my foot. Now, I was wearing steel-toed boots, so luckily I didn't get hurt, but I was pinched and stuck. I couldn't reach the key. I couldn't reach the loader control. My foot was jammed under there, so I was eventually able to get my foot out of my shoe and go operate the tractor and get the thing lifted off. So, once again, this is how I do it from now on because I had that experience. Step on the implement, grab the 2 bars and pull them both up at once. Okay, once again, like I said, we're gonna go over this in this video and then I'm not gonna explain it anymore. We're just gonna hook them up. So when I hook up one of my front end implements with the skid steer quick attach, I drive forward slowly, I tip the SSQA out just enough that those top ears, let's call them ears, I don't know, whatever, they go just up and just touch. And if your implement's crooked, you can just push it a little bit, it'll straighten out, but just get them in there, then lift straight up. Just lift it till it's all the way off the ground. Now you can curl it back and it's not gonna slip off of there at all, okay? So now, same procedure as when I took it off. I'm just gonna stand on these front forks. That way I know that these bottom pins are all the way in. They're definitely gonna go into the slots. That's so important. If you screw this up and you're driving around working with it and those bottom pins don't latch in, it's gonna get sideways and start bending stuff. So anyway, standing on the forks, push them down in, I'm safe. Nothing's gonna hurt me. So there you go. So here they are. These are my pallet forks. So first we're gonna talk about the other types of pallet forks you can get, and then we'll talk specifically about mine. So you've got other options, less expensive options. First would be clamp-on pallet forks that clamp right onto your bucket. I really don't recommend those at all. I mean, they're better than nothing, I guess, but maybe they're not better than nothing. Here's the disadvantages to clamp-on pallet forks. With the clamp-on pallet forks, you're taking your forks and moving them all the way out to the edge of the bucket. So everybody knows that the more leverage you have with this little tractor, the better, because it's got a limited lift capacity and you need to get and squeeze every ounce of power out of this thing you can. So moving your load closer to the tractor gives you more leverage and allows you to lift more weight. When you put those clamp-on pallet forks on the front of the bucket and move that all the way out, sure, you can move some stuff, but it's really not that great. The other downside to clamp-on pallet forks is it could bend your bucket. When you've got those on and you lift something that maybe is a little bit too heavy, you can bend the front edge of your bucket. And if you put a tooth bar on it, the tooth bar might get in the way. I don't know. I just don't like them. I had them once, I tried them, and I actually gave them away. I just didn't like them. So the second option you have is you can buy a fixed tine. These are tines, fixed forks. You can call them forks or tines, whatever. They're fixed. They don't move back and forth. So that's a fine option. They're SSQA compatible. You can connect them right to your tractor. They get the load right back to the SSQA, and it'll help with your lift capacity. But you can't adjust anything back and forth, and they're actually a little heavier than these. Now, my suggestion, and I'm not trying to spend your money here, but my suggestion for pallet forks is buy once, cry once. The other types, like I said, are better than nothing, but if you go with these, you're gonna find out how much better they are. First of all, they're very lightweight. The two most lightweight types of pallet forks I've found, these are Redline pallet forks, and then there's another company called AI2. They make a very similar set of pallet forks that are very lightweight. It maximizes the lift capacity of your Kubota BX or subcompact tractor, and you're gonna be happy with them. And the reason I went with Redline over the other was this right here. This is a 2-inch receiver, it's built in, and I thought that was just a nice little feature to add to it. Now, if you do go with this type of set of pallet forks, so like I say, they're adjustable back and forth. You can make them wide as you want or tight as you want into the middle. You're gonna have an option of 36-inch or 48-inch forks. Well, I went with 36-inch forks because they work just fine. You don't need 48-inch forks, especially for a small tractor like this. I can't see any advantage. I really can't. If you're lifting something on a pallet, the pallet's gonna spread the weight out, and being able to reach the entire length of the pallet really doesn't do that much for you. So 36-inch pallet forks are the way to go for a couple of reasons. Number one, of course, is the weight. You're gonna have less weight with shorter forks. Number two is they don't stick out as far, so you're not gonna run into stuff. You're less likely to run into stuff. You're probably gonna run into stuff, but I got a tip to help you prevent that. Anyway, these things stick out quite far, so you got a chance of damaging walls and jacking stuff up. If you go with the 36-inch forks, there's less of that chance. So, all right, like I said, these pallet forks are adjustable. So there's a little clip back here, and I think this is pretty much universal. This little thing just pops up and down. It's a spring-loaded pin that pulls out of these grooves, and now I can just take these and move them back and forth. It's a little bit difficult. You gotta kind of muscle it a little bit, and you really wanna be careful not to pinch your fingers in anything. You bring it over like this with your hand right here, you're gonna, pinch your hand in between that. But with that up, you can just slide them back and forth, and when you get to where the groove is, just drop it into place. Now you're gonna notice on my pallet forks, I've got chains hanging on the edges of them, and I keep these chains here all the time. They're very useful for securing loads and all kinds of stuff that I will show you later. But these grab hooks that I put the chains in, they're not factory. I welded those on myself. So just, if you buy a set of Redline pallet forks, you get the 2-inch receiver, you get the adjustable forks, all of that, but it does not have these grab hooks. So just wanna let you know. Now, before we go and start using these pallet forks and to show you some tips and tricks on how to use them, we're gonna get some ballast on the rear end, because watch this. Yep, I weigh 210 pounds. Yeah, so that's all it takes to get those rear tires off the ground. Put some ballast on it. All right, I got my ballast on the tractor so we can be safe. It's another rainy day here in Northeast Ohio, which is why I'm doing this series. and I've got to go get supplies. Now, I got a truck, but I've got pallet forks. So because I've got pallet forks, I'm going to put a pallet in the back of my truck when I go to get stuff. One of the things I need to get is I need to get 6 80-pound bags of Quikrete. Now, I do not want to lift that. Heck, if I don't want to lift it at all, I can have the guy at Home Depot put it on here, but I'll probably load it because I don't trust those guys. Anyway, I'm going to put 6 80-pound bags of Quikrete on this plastic pallet. Now, when I get Quikrete, I really like these plastic pallets because they're much less likely to snag the bag and dump it all over the back of my truck. So, let's talk pallets a little bit, because if you're going to get pallet forks, man, you got to keep your eyes open for pallets. I pick up pallets just about any industrial area around here, just driving around. If I'm out with my truck and I see them, I stop and I get them. Doesn't matter what size they are. These plastic ones I came by because I happen to know somebody who manages a big box store around here, and they said, guess what? The company that owns these doesn't want them anymore. And rather than throw them away, she gave them to me. So that's a wonderful win. Anyway, any type of pallet you can get. Long ones, short ones, small ones. They're normally 40 by 48. That's a typical pallet. And just stock them, because you know the wood ones, they kind of disintegrate over time and you're going to need to throw them out and get new ones. So anyway, I'm going to put this pallet in the back of the truck. I'm going to go get my supplies and then we'll come back. All right, I'm back. Believe it or not, this is the same day. Yeah. Beautiful sunshine, 75 degrees. But we've got huge storms coming, so I want to get this unloaded right away. So what I did is I actually loaded all that Quikrete to the front because I want to show you some techniques. And then I just threw a pallet on here and I stacked all this other stuff on that pallet because I'm going to handle this one more time when this is all for garden fencing. When I go and build the garden, I'm going to handle this, but not until then. It's going to stay on the pallet and I'm never touching it again. So we'll get this unloaded. We're going to show you some techniques, and I'll show you how to get a load that's deep in your truck bed out. All right, once again, this is basic techniques. So I'm going to take my RPMs way down. I'm going to put it in low. The reason I'm doing that is everything's going to move slower. Put it in low. The lower gear allows you to have your RPMs way down, and you can just very easily move wherever you want, just as slow and steady as possible. Now, I'm going to bring my pallet forks up. I can see the tips of the pallet forks, so I'm just going to let those come down until they line up with the pallet. Well, now I can't see the tips of the pallet forks. They just happen to be right where you can't see them. All you got to do is lean your head down a little bit. Well, actually lean your head down a lot. Make sure they're lined up, and then go ahead forward. Now right there, okay, you saw I actually hit the pallet with the tip of the pallet forks. So I usually just give it a little nudge one way or another, up or down. Just, there you go. You can tell when it's not hitting the pallet. Just adjust it a little bit. But that is the advantage of using low RPMs while you're doing this, because I can make those little tiny adjustments here and there without it jerking all over the place. So we're gonna lift that out of the bed, increase RPMs, and I'm going to keep it in low. Now here's where that tilt and lower at the same time really comes into play. It's kind of a delicate stick. There's this sweet spot where you can go nice and slow and not jerk all over the place. So I'm going to bring it up, and now I'm going to start lowering it, and both at the same time, keep it level. See that? That's kind of an advanced technique. That's actually very difficult to do. There's such a small sweet spot in this joystick, I don't know, loader, lever, whatever you want to call it, to hit that slow, easy movement. With practice, you'll get it. All right, let's get this put away. Another quick tip while you're driving around with your forks on, remember I said it's pretty easy to hit things with those. Curl them all the way back. Curl them all the way back so you can see the tips sticking up, and you're going to be a lot less likely to hit stuff with them. See? I can see where they are. I know what they're coming close to. All right, here we go. Now this is one of the biggest advantages to having a tractor with pallet forks on it. A tractor has that front end loader that sticks way out. You should be able to reach up all the way into a truck bed, get underneath. Now this is a 6.5 foot truck bed. If you got an 8 foot bed, you're gonna have to do something else. Take a chain and hook it to it and then pull it back. That's another way to do it, but 6.5 foot truck bed, you should be able to just get the forks underneath the front of it. Watch your front here so you don't hit. Then lift the front of the pallet, curl it back a little bit, and you're going to drag it out. Then once you got it back far enough to get the whole pallet fork under it, tip it back down, pull it forward, and you're going to lift it out. Now this is 6 80-pound bags of Quikrete. So quick math, 6 times 8 is 48, 480 pounds. That's well within the limits of the Kubota BX, but I stacked them all to the back of the pallet, so I got all the load as close to the, get as much leverage as possible. Okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about that I just did there. This is basics. We got to do everything. So when I'm lifting a load with my pallet forks, the first thing I'm going to do is, and let me give you the reason, you have a lot more curl strength than you have lifting strength. So I'm going to lift as high as I can first. Get as much as I can, and it won't go any farther, right? So now I'm going to curl it. So that gives me as much upward force as I can, get it as high as I can before I curl it back, because I still can't go up any higher by trying to just lift it. I need to curl it to get it up off of there. Now you got to be very careful when you back out, because that's a lot of weight. I should make a note here to you that I'm on level concrete right now, so I really don't have to worry about tipping side to side. And before I go taking it into the barn, I'm going to lower my load. Always drive with your load low. All right, next thing we're going to do is take care of this brush before the storm gets here. So I have a grapple, yes, but believe it or not, if you stack your brush nice and neat like this, you can carry way more with a set of pallet forks than you can with a grapple. Think about it. The grapple only opens so far. You can go down and grab it and you can move, but you're going to make a lot more trips with a grapple than you will with pallet forks. I'm about to show you. Now, the biggest advantage of a grapple, and we'll go over this when we do the grapple video, is that you don't have to get off the tractor, obviously. So I might have to get off the tractor, throw some branches on or something like that if they fall off, who knows. The grapple is obviously more secure, but I'm going to show you also a trick that helps to keep brush on your pallet forks. Let's get as much as we can. Let's see how much we can scoop up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my pallet forks out to their widest setting. Once again, be careful not to pinch your fingers. I do that because, the the sticks are long, and I want to have more balance by having these out farther. All right, let's scoop them up. Oh, we're gonna go 4-wheel drive and low range. When you're working, doing stuff like this, whether you're scooping up gravel or whatever, 4-wheel drive and low range, always. So we're gonna push into it as far as we can get. That's pretty good. That's a lot. All right, now I'm gonna curl it back. Oh yeah, lift it up. Look at all that. All right, now this is the trick. Remember my hooks and my chains over here? Take your chain and throw it over your sticks. That's a lot of sticks. I could use a longer chain, but still, it's gonna help. So I might as well make mention, the reason you go low range, 4-wheel drive all the time when you're working with a load is if your rear wheels come off the ground and you're not in 4-wheel drive, well, there's nothing to drive you. Also, if you're going down a hill, there's nothing to stop you. If your front wheels are not engaged in 4-wheel drive, you'll just roll right down the hill and maybe even roll over. 4-wheel drive, low range whenever you're working. Oh, I lost my chains. Typically those chains work better than that. They just fell off for this load. I don't know how, but anyway, that's Moo and Brush. All right, good to get some stuff done while I'm doing an informative video, you know? That's a win-win for me. Anyway, I could show you a dozen other uses for these things. You could use it from everything from moving your trash can to the curb to moving stuff around in the garage, and heck, you can even dig with these things. They're not the best tool for the job, but if you need a little narrow trench, it'll do it. Anyway, you know, it's interesting. The dealer asked me when I bought the tractor, well, what are you going to use this for? And I thought, well, the main things I want to mow and I want to, you know, plow my driveway. Well, you sure end up using it for a lot more than that. That is a loaded question. And pallet forks are just about the most versatile tool. And that's why I suggest this is the next implement you should buy from your tractor. After you've got a bucket and maybe a mower deck, pallet forks are a big deal. So, all right, appreciate you tuning in. Hope you got a lot out of this, and I'll see you on the next episode. We're gonna move back to the back of the tractor, get a little more detail about the 3-point hitch, and I'll tell you probably the most useful implement you can buy for the 3-point hitch. So I will see you then when we are doing more stuff.